hit the mute button a lot.
I should have made notes about any of these.
Hey, we're live, boys and girls. Congratulations. We are on the internet. There might be people in the chat. There's usually at least somebody there. So hello, world. We're streaming. We're out there. Oh, right.
When there's usually somebody, it's usually just Vic or
Victor.
Julia who's like going to the Ren Fair or whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Whoever is not there.
Yeah.
Well, hey, we usually have at least 100 people watch the replay because at least 100 people are interested in what this group of savages has to say about Taylor Swift.
Honestly, pretty impressive.
I mean, yeah. I mean, actually, like,
It's funny because for us, that sounds freakishly high. Like, 100 people should not be interested in us. But based on the percentage of Taylor Swift fans, it's actually freakishly low.
Right. But also, live streams on YouTube don't do as well in replays. There are much bigger channels than mine. And I've had bigger live streams than those channels. So, like, their regular videos will get, like, 50,000 views, and then their live stream will get, like, 100 views, and then some of my live streams will get, like, 500-600 views. So, just, like, really this should be on Twitch. That's the mistake, is doing this on YouTube. But, man, I don't want to deal with that. Too much work.
It's like setting up one more account.
Yeah, I don't want to set up one more account. But I see the
but
thing
I do
is,
understand.
It's not setting up one more account. It's that my audience is already here, and they do show up. And then there's the fact of if I'd want to stream at 2 places at once, and I don't know if my computer can handle that. So while I'm cheap, it's gonna just be on YouTube, baby. Plus, I'm already monetized on YouTube until someone does the F-bomb for this episode. Oh, there's art.
Just pre-record it and then
do such a thing. Who would possibly
stream it back, pretending it's a live stream?
Yeah, but then we can't respond to the chat live, or we can pretend we can have a plant and like, oh, you, good job. But yeah, we are here. We've got a full panel today, which is good because this is a long one. We really need to drag this episode out further. We are doing the vault tracks on Speak Now. The bonus tracks that Taylor added to the Taylor's version of the album to get people more interested, more excited, leftovers from the era. And once again, as with Speak Now proper, sorry, I was way too loud with that. As with Speak Now proper, all these songs were written solely by Taylor Swift, no co-writes. So this is the Ego album, this is the I Can Prove Myself as a Songwriter album. And we wonder, did any of these songs deserve to be on the record, or were they better left on the cutting room floor? I feel like we've done enough of these episodes where we've gone over our histories with Taylor Swift. And I feel like if you're watching the Speak Now episode of the Vault Tracks, you probably watch the other ones. So, for when we do like a new album proper, we can go over like our thoughts on the the album and Taylor Swift when that album came out. But for the sake of this, let's just talk about how we thought about the Vault Tracks. Let's just go around the panel. Start with Mike. What were your thoughts on the Vault Tracks from Speak Now?
I think it could partially just be like the headspace I was in, but they were all fine, but none really connected with me either. So I would say overall, I was thinking this last night, you just mentioned it a minute ago, I was like, okay, I can see why these didn't make the album. And even, I really sat down, maybe there's 1 or 2 that are as good or maybe slightly better than a couple of my least favorites, maybe. But by and large, I think I get why these didn't quite make it. But they're all solid enough. There wasn't one I hated or anything like that.
And Steve, how about you? Did any of these deserve to make the album?
Well, all said and done, I was excited to see the new artistic direction, though, and I'm excited to see what new stuff can be done with the new lineup, but I really was sort of nostalgic for the traditional spirituals plus death metal sound of I'm talking about the Zeal and Ardor album, Greif, that came out this past week, that I listened to a lot more than the Speak Now extras, which were fine.
All right, well, fair enough. Julia, what did you think about this collection of songs? Did any of them deserve to make the album?
I think a case could be made for one of them, and I can't remember the other ones. I'm probably gonna have to Google each of them as they come. Well, actually, that's not true. My expectations for these going in were completely subverted from what I anticipated. So it was a roller coaster of emotions for me. Nothing happened like how I hoped or how I expected.
And Victor, how about you? Were you also on a roller coaster of emotions, or were you in a glass case of emotion?
Emotion's a strong word. I would just kind of like looking over the track list of the album next to these tracks. I'm kind of like, I mean, the like good stuff on the album is better than all of these, but I feel like you could probably include a few of these on even a very cut down version of the album, which is what I would do anyway, and what I do on like every episode of this damn show. So, so yeah, I think probably like 2 or 3 of these would make an abbreviated cut of the album, in my opinion.
Yeah, and my thoughts on the tracks, I enjoyed them. I think that a few of them offered different musical things that weren't really offered elsewhere on the album. And so they were a nice musical change of pace. And so what I appreciated about this collection of songs is that she was clearly trying a bunch of different things. And it doesn't mean that necessarily there was room for all of it on the album. I can see why some of these were left off, but I enjoy every one of these songs. And even my least favorite of this bunch is still like a solid like 7 out of 10. Like there's no, if I'm a school teacher, nothing's getting a D. It's, C is like the absolute worst of this bunch. Nothing's necessarily going to get like maybe the extra credit, and like, get, here's your 100% and you did this really cool thing. So you get a gold star on the test. Like you maybe not going to get that, but there's nothing that's out and out. Like I'm not getting out the red marker and being upset with what was released. So, yeah, let's just jump right into this ranking.
Greg is just an unengaged teacher.
I am
no gold stars.
I am not paid
no
enough.
Red marks. I'm gonna roll out a television, and teacher Greg is gonna take a nap.
I'm gonna roll out television and have the kids watch Yellow Submarine because this is music class, and that's certainly teaching.
Greg's not even hungover; he's just lazy.
Yellow Submarine would have been better than many of the movies that were played for me in my music class, to be quite honest.
There's a lot to learn in there.
Yeah.
No, we did watch Yellow Submarine in my music class. I'm just like, I don't understand why we're watching this, but I'll take it.
I never got to watch movies during music class because I was always on the special overperforming kids who were going off to spend the day working with a choir composed of every kid who cared in the county. And so I always missed watching TV day in music class. I was the reason they were missing.
You should have underperformed.
Right? I should have cared less.
It's actually pretty sound advice.
Care less.
Yeah, honestly.
Care less.
Yes, care less. Now. It's good for you.
Yeah, that's the most important lesson in life. Care less. Anyway, that's why you know what? No, I'm not going to make that joke. I'm going to be nice. All right, so going into the ranking. 6 songs that we're ranking today. The most points that any individual panelist can give a song is 6. So your favorite song on this collection of tracks gets 6 points. Least favorite gets 1 point. And then we add the points given by the panelists to see where everything ends up. I am looking forward to the comments as we go through this ranking as to where everything ultimately landed. There will be some surprises. There will be some yelling, probably. There will be some, wait, we're not in the song yet. So, first up on the list, coming in last place, we have Foolish One, ranked in last place by Mike and myself, but not last place by many. Victor put this second from the top, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's good in a Victor ranking. Julie gave it 3 points, and Steve gave it 2 points. Mike, why don't you go first? Why is this the least good of this collection of 6 tracks?
Eh. And I mean, that's just kind of, yeah, it's just kind of how I felt about it. Like, it's fine. It was probably just the one that I found the least, I didn't really bop to it, which is fine. It's not meant to be a bop, but I don't know. It just didn't really do much for me. It's fine. I didn't hate it. Like, even the fact that, I think, what you say, it was second place for Victor or something, I'm okay with that. Yeah, it's not, I'm not against it. It was very there. I could have left it. You know what I mean? Like, it's definitely not one of those songs where I heard where I'm like, why did this not make the album? What was Taylor thinking? What was, like, her label thinking? Just didn't really do anything for me.
So I'm going to respond to a different Michael right now, the Michael in the chat. So Michael is one of my proudest haters on the channel. Will always come in to tell me that Steve sucks, that my opinions on Final Fantasy VI are wrong, or my opinions on everything are wrong. But Michael is saying that Jack Antonoff wrote all 6. Look, if you want to argue Jack Antonoff wrote Taylor's later songs, fine. But like, we're specifically on the album where she wrote every single song by herself with no co-writers. You're picking the wrong album to make that argument. Pick a different album, dude. All right. Sorry, I had to interject there. But as someone who also ranked this in last place, I think that the sentiment behind the song is very Taylor Swift. Is like, oh, foolish girl thinking you'll find true love, and just like it's a very Taylor Swift mentality kind of song. But I think just like musically, it's the least interesting. It has the least pleasing melody of the bunch. Subject matter wise, it's fine, but there are just better songs that sort of address similar sentiment in a more interesting way. So I mean, it's a forgettable, not forgettable, but like it's like an okay ballad. It's fine. I don't think it's bad, but not defeating any of the other songs on the ranking for me personally. Steve, what do you think about this one?
Well, I spent the entire time that you guys were talking frantically searching through my notes and the lyrics and the YouTube video list that I watched, because I called this one Foolish Day in my notes and was like, wait, hold on. Did I even listen to the right song? And yes, it turns out it did. I just forgot most everything about it. For the most part, I would, this one falls sort of squarely in the middle of Taylor Swift writes a fine pop country-ish song. I docked at a point because the outro turned into Last Christmas for a bit, and I was like, all right, I don't love that. That's not an intentional and good reference. That's just she accidentally cribbed a well-known popular melody. I did like the lyric about chances I will talk myself to sleep again. I found that very amusing. It was like, she too is bored to tears at the sound of her own voice.
Harsh, very harsh.
Harsh but fair.
So, Julia, what were your thoughts on this one?
I don't know. This was just boring. Like, I don't care about it. I put it in the middle because I did find myself smiling at the mention of checking your mailbox. I was like, that's so novel in this day and age. I like to check my mailbox also, so not for confessions of love, just for mail. So I was like, yeah, shout out to mailboxes. This one goes in the middle for me.
Shout out to the Postal
Mailboxes.
Union.
You the real OGs.
They're hiring.
Shoot,
also, shout out to the Trump administration for destroying the U.S. post office. That's cool.
Now, it wasn't just the Trump administration. Republicans had long policies of trying to destroy the USPS. The pre-funding the pensions thing was well before Trump.
Yeah, I was going to say, you should join now. The pensions are already paid.
If your job exists by the time you reach retirement age, yeah, the pension's there.
Got to get that gig. Greg needs a new gig. Feel free to hit the thanks button on YouTube. Donate to the channel. Victor, what were your thoughts on this one? You put this in second place. That means you love it, right?
I mean, I don't dislike it. I kind of enjoy that it sounds like lyrically like from like even before her time, because it's just like I also admonishing the main character as a foolish one instead of like, I mean, it's not as musical, but like idiot.
Well, stupid girl was already taken.
That's true, yeah.
And wasn't Stupid Ho already
Yeah,
taken
Man,
by this
we should have
time?
listened to a garbage album. That would have been better.
We should talk about garbage instead.
We are talking about garbage.
That's true. I like garbage.
Yeah, I think it's just like kind of I kind of like that it sounds like lyrically kind of from a different time, even though like Taylor Swift's not, even on this short 6-song collection, is not averse to going like mining the past for, you know, subject matter or whatever. But I don't know, it just sounded like a different time. And also it's not like the best thing she's written or anything, but there's something about the I don't remember what the exact lyric is, but like checking your mailbox for something that's never gonna
Confessions of Love. I already said it.
that are never gonna come. And the way that line hits into that chord, I think is just kind of pleasantly melancholic in a way that a lot of her music isn't like musically engaging. I felt that like there was actually something there.
I mean, I think that's fair. I mean, I don't dislike the song. I think that is one of the strongest aspects of the song, the part you just mentioned. Yeah, I mean, I think this one is good. And I think there's another song we'll get to later where I do think that the lyrical approach is very like 1950s, 1960s. And I do appreciate that she is kind of anachronistic with a lot of her choices. For better and for worse. But as, you know, as a guy who used anachronistic in a song lyric, I think I used anachronism, not anachronistic. So I don't want to have a Tim Walls moment where people say, you said the wrong word, you implied something different, Greg. Don't want to do that. But I appreciate that aspect of her songwriting. I vibe with it. Do you have any other comments on Foolish One before we move on? We're flying through this rank. We've already gotten through a song. Look at us go.
Yeah. Am I allowed to swear yet?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
No.
Okay.
I got us demonetized.
Heck you all for not liking my second favorite song of all time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's your second favorite. So this is your number one on this album. That's the question.
Yeah.
Oh man,
I'm bringing strong opinions today. I'm almost done with my coffee. I'm here.
We need them.
All right, well, next on the
Man, I'm out of
list.
coffee. I'm sad.
Speaking of Steve being sad, next on the list is Steve's least favorite song on the album, "When Emma Falls in Love," getting a 1 point more than "Foolish One." So really, it's like it barely beat it, but it did beat it. No ties in this ranking today. So, Steve, why is this the worst song on the album?
I'm angry that my least favorite song was only the second lowest on this album. I mean, honestly, I knocked this one to the bottom entirely for the word change. That was it. That's all. The entirety of it. Like the song's cruising on. I'm like, I don't really have opinions, and then it gets change. Like, oh nope, that sucked so bad. Straight to the bottom.
I agree, Steve.
Yeah.
That part made Victor and I both grimace. We were like driving in the car together, and she did that, and then we were both all, ugh, nope, nope, don't like it.
Do we have any other comments on this one other than you don't like the change part?
Not a lot. I get it as a construction. Like from a songwriting perspective, I think it's kind of interesting, but not her best.
No, I feel like for some reason in my brain, this song is like 4 hours long. It felt eternal, and it's just not interesting to me. It's not that bad for most of it. Then she gets to the change part, and it really is like, that is so bad. I can't do this. I've already been here long enough. This song is too. I don't like it. It's not horrible, but I don't like it.
Yeah, I found it to be pleasant. I think it was a nice change of pace to have a nice piano-driven song with a very distinct piano hook. I thought that was enjoyable. I thought it was nice that she was writing a character piece and about someone else, but also like, even if she's writing about someone else, she's still doing the author insert, like, man, I wish I was this person, and then I would be really cool too. So like, she still can't take herself out of the equation when writing about someone else. But I do think that does allow more of a connection to the protagonist of the song. So I think that's fun. I think she builds up the character pretty well. A lot of people theorize that this song is about Emma Stone, and Emma Stone seems pretty cool. I liked her in Superbad and those Spider-Man movies where she was Gwen Stacy. She was pretty good in those. So yeah. In La La Land. Yeah, she was good in La La Land. So I like Emma Stone. She's fine. Pleasant little song about Emma Stone. What?
What about Zombieland?
Oh, right, Zombieland. That was, yeah, that movie had the Bill Murray scene that was good.
There's other good scenes too.
Yeah, like the scene after Bill Murray's death, spoilers, where they're rubbing the money in their eyes to, cover the tears. No, Zombieland is good. I forgot about it. Emma Stone's been in a lot of good things. She does good work.
A lot of Land specifically.
Yeah.
Yes.
La La Land, Adventureland.
She loves land.
A landlubber.
Like a Magic the Gathering player.
She loves land
Well,
like a lord.
If we're making weird references, then I'm gonna say mine.
Okay.
There's a mermaid show on Nickelodeon.
Yes.
Called H2O.
Just Add Water.
Just Add Water.
Mm-hmm.
That was made in Australia. And whenever this song would come on, one of the characters is named Emma. So I just imagined that this song was about her, and then all the characters going, Emma, no!
Also, I'm sorry, Emma Stone wasn't in Adventureland, but it really fit into the rule of threes.
Hey, you had
some respect for Kristen Stewart's name.
We don't know for sure she wasn't like an uncredited extra in the background, so she could have been.
She very much could have been there.
Speaking of uncredited extras, I did have one more thought on this that I'd forgotten about. Who is doing backing vocals? Because they were trying really hard to sound like Natty Chaps on this, and I'm very confused narratively. Does that mean that, like,
Emma Stone is doing backing vocals on this track, but she's doing...
Okay.
That's how good she is. She's
playing Emma Stone, sounding like Natty Chaps playing Emma Stone.
Yes. Look, versatility. Why she won that Oscar.
Yeah. Get her an EGOT.
Here's to the foolish ones who dream. Thanks.
Here's to the foolish ones who change.
Before we get to the Michael on the panel, the Michael in the chat, who is still arguing that she didn't write these songs, and that the narrative that she writes her own music is protected with her life. I mean, as far as the credit of, like, her recent stuff, she openly admits that, like, the producers will write the musical parts and then she'll write the lyrics and the melody. So, like, that's just how co-writing works, dude. It's not like a secret or a conspiracy. She's just like, this is my process. This is how I do things. It's very normal. I don't know what it is with the Taylor doesn't write her material people. Like, if David Lee Roth and Eddie Van Halen write a song together, and like, what, David didn't write anything, he just wrote the words. Like, yeah, that's how collaboration works. That's people. I'm so sick of the conspiracy theorists around this. It's really old. Michael Walsh, what are your thoughts on When Emma Falls in Love?
I really have absolutely nothing meaningful to add. I will say I do not remember this controversial change moment whatsoever. So I guess I must not have found it bad enough, but I'm very curious when we get off this to go listen to it again, because it really struck a nerve with some of you. But yeah, it's a perfectly fine song. I do remember I think I had it. Wow, I clearly don't remember because I was going to say I either had it one spot higher and one spot lower, and then I'm like, oh, let me move this one, and that's like the last change I remember making on the ranking before sending it off to you, Greg. So, yeah, I either used to think this song was slightly better or slightly worse, but I clearly don't care enough to remember which direction that was in.
I mean, the thing is, I think a lot of these songs are of similar quality, so you're not necessarily. It's more just which flavor you're vibing with. It's like if you went to an ice cream stand and the vanilla and strawberry were of equal quality to you, and just like, oh, I don't know, they're both fine. So it's really like what you're in the mood for.
Stand that has vanilla, French vanilla, and New York style vanilla.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, all right.
Well, hey, speaking of vanilla, next up on the list, we have Castles Crumbling. So we are halfway through the ranking.
Yeah.
Man, we are flying through this. So this is featuring Hayley Williams, and this has been performed live with Taylor and Hayley performing the song together. So I will go first. I like this one a lot lyrically. I feel like this is Taylor's song that she specifically wrote for Julia. Just like, why don't you love me anymore? I thought we vibed, girl, and now you don't care about me.
Hayley Williams in there to try to draw me back in. She's like, look, I brought one of your favorites. You love her.
And it still was enough. You're like, nope, I hope your castle crumbles. But I think that is...
Oh, we're good.
I actually do sense like the sincerity of that, where like as an artist, I could feel like not wanting to disappoint a fan, so like someone who grew up with my music. I'm putting myself into her headspace and how sad she would be if like someone's like, I just don't like her anymore and I think she sucks. Like, I think that could be like just kind of a sad thing. So like I get the sentimentality behind it, and I think it's also a catchy song. I think the vocals are good. I enjoy it. I put it right in the middle. That doesn't mean I don't think it's good. It's just, there's some other good songs here, but I enjoyed it. But still, this wasn't enough for Julia, even with Hayley Williams. You're like, nope, still don't like you anymore.
If you're gonna add a Hayley Williams feature to your song, can you let her do something, please? That it just felt like it I don't know why she was there.
It's the Colby Kelly thing all over
She
again.
did an amazing Taylor Swift singing impersonation.
Yeah, it was so weird when she started singing. I was like,
It sounds exactly the same.
What is happening? Yeah, I don't. No, it wasn't it.
I think that's a common production idea, though. It's like you get a lot of producers who will try to like squish all their vocalists to sort of the same space, so they all fit together on a recording. Like I noticed that a lot when Machine Gun Kelly was really big, is that any feature that they brought into one of his, when he was doing pop punk, any feature that was brought into one of his songs was really, really dragged down to his level vocally. Is they would just like slap a ton of auto-tune, they'd slap the same effects chain on him, and it always sounded bad. It was like, oh, this vocalist is better than this. Why did they sound so bad? And then like he got featured on an Avril Lavigne song. There's like, oh, the man presumably actually can sing if Avril Lavigne and her producers sit him down and make him do takes until he gets it right.
Well, you guys gotta do the Jim Steinman approach, where Jim doesn't care how good of a singer he is and how much better the other girl is. He's just gonna do it right.
He puts his whole heart into it, okay?
You get a nice dramatic contrast. You can get a nice dramatic contrast when you do that, when you have like very distinct levels of skill from different vocalists. Like that was the Rentals. That was their whole thing, is that, Matt Sharp is a, kind of gravelly, okay, mostly baritone-y kind of singer when he's not doing falsetto, and then he gets a couple of women with really traditionally pretty voices to sing along with him, and you get good contrast.
So, counter on Lipstick 2, when we did Stop, Drop, and Rock and Roll, I think that even though Morgan is a much better singer than I am, our vocals ultimately landed in a very similar production space where, like, they didn't pop as very distinct from one another. So as we're saying, like, oh, we should have a better producer to make them more distinct. I guess we need a better producer for us too.
I mean, yeah, just because it can be done doesn't mean that everyone succeeds.
Like us. Oh man, I had the robot over your face, so I didn't get to see your emotion.
Sorry?
Oh.
I had the robot over your face, so I didn't get to see your emotion there.
Tiny tears. I had the big dumb smile I have whenever I do that move.
There we go. It's back.
Anyway, kids, go to needlejuicerecords.com, buy the Lipstick discography for $2.
Or stream it for free on Spotify. And good luck finding, because I think both albums are under different band names because the label is able to do that. So I forgot who was talking about this song. So who hasn't gone?
We haven't gone. I don't think anybody's really gone except Steve.
I'm trying to point directions.
Maybe you.
Mike is that direction. No, wait, no. Mike is that
Yeah,
direction.
so Julia started talking about... I talked about Castles Crumbling being secretly about Julia. Julia said that, oh man, I wish this vocal was more interesting. And that was all we got from Julia. I feel like Julia has more juice on this song, more tea to spill, more wine to throw in Taylor Swift's face.
Or Victor and Julia are frozen.
Yeah, I think Victor and Julia are frozen. So, Mike.
That is also...
Yep. For a second there, I thought Julia was just like, no, Greg, I do not have anything to add. And just,
I thought she was just waiting to pounce. She was
right, she was just waiting. Yeah.
I liked, again, I didn't love this one or like super connect with it or anything, but I did like and respect. It was kind of a little bit darker. Doesn't quite feel like the right word, and yet it's not the wrong word. Well, especially out of these particular songs. I'm not saying it's one of the darkest songs in general that I've ever heard, but it was a little bit more, just felt a little bit more heavy than the few that had come before it. So I was like, okay, cool. It's a little bit different, a little bit of a change. Not one of my top favorites of the new 6, but I like that it's doing something a little bit different than the few that came before it.
And, while we're here, Mike, what's your stance on feudalism?
Yeah. I didn't have a ready to go stance. Vic and Julia, please tell me you're back.
We'll wrap around back to you. We'll get back to Mike's stance on feudalism. Victor, Julia, what's your stance on feudalism? And then also the song.
Feudalism rocks. Let's fucking go. I would love...
All right, PG-13.
Let's freaking go. Crap. Well, to be fair, that was the PG-13 F-bomb, so we're at capacity. We're still okay, everyone, because it wasn't used in a sexual context. So we're
That's right.
Okay.
We're good.
Or was it?
No, it wasn't.
What's that called?
They say better
in feudalism.
Yeah.
I think that was just for the movie.
But yeah, feudalism, it's coming back. Libertarian Party's like, let's bring back feudalism. It's going to be great, you guys. It worked out so great the last time. Round 2, fight.
Better the devil you know than the devil you don't, right, Greg?
Exactly. So, Castle's Crumbling. Speaking of devils, we know.
Yeah. All I really had to say about this, the sad thing is I really don't have, a heated opinion about this one, because I was just so bummed about how lackluster it is. I don't know, the production is, weird, and I wanted to find it interesting that it was weird, but it was just boring and off-putting weird, for me anyway. I really didn't like it at first, and then it kind of grew on me with repeat listens, but I was just like, yeah, I can't feel anything about this one. There's nothing there. I didn't even hear the lyrics, so I just looked them up, and I was like, oh yeah, that is an interesting sentiment. I wasn't paying
attention. And Victor, famously, who can't hear lyrics, what What's your thoughts on this one? Is this about the destruction of the Dragoon Castle in Final Fantasy II? Which Final Fantasy game is this about, Victor?
I mean, the one that comes to mind is 4, but it doesn't make any sense lyrically because I think they're positioning themselves as the monarchs and not as the warriors fighting an unjust war.
They all become monarchs at the end of the game, so they could be just mixing past tense and present tense.
Okay, or it's like a Chronicles of Narnia situation where once they leave, then all the castles crumble.
Edward was a monarch, and his castle crumbled pretty early on. Same with Edge.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, the Bard wrote this.
Yeah, the Spoony Bard. This one doesn't do a lot for me. I think it has any positive points, it's that it's produced like from a musical perspective pretty differently. So the instrumental section is at least kind of interesting. I don't know that it's good, but it's different. So there's there's at least something different about it, which I appreciate, but it's not so great.
Turns out the devil you don't know is not so great. Well, hey, we are in the top 3. Man, these are much faster to go through when there's not 19 songs. By the way, my proposal for when we eventually do Tortured Poets, the magnum opus 32-song album, we split that up into 2 weeks. So, like, we'll get through, like, the first half 1 week, and then we'll do the second half another week, because otherwise that's like a 7-hour stream or something like that. I think that's the...
Was it one 32-track disc or 2 16-track discs?
So the thing is, there are 2 discs, but I think it's better, like, you're not going to do the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, like, side A and B as one ranking, and then, side, C and D as a separate ranking. Like, you have to do, like, the entire thing as one thing. You're not going to split up the wall, Or, I mean, you would, but, you're a savage.
Oh, so we're going to rank them all at once, but then talk about them on 2 separate occasions.
Yes, I think that's the best way, so, like, everyone can, like, handle it. Okay, so
I've lost your audio, Greg.
Yeah.
How about now? Am I back?
Yeah,
You're back.
Oh, that just happens with Discord sometimes. No, so what we'll do is when we get to that, we'll have one episode where we deal through all the bottom ranked songs first. That'll be just like pure negativity for an entire episode. Followed by the other
all
ones.
Going to be on the bottom.
Yeah, so one ranking, 2 episodes.
Yes.
Every track that I give you is going to be ranked 32nd or whatever.
I was just thinking how, like, this whole time, I mean, the past few, streams and everything since we've started doing this, I'm like, Steve uses random number generator? Like, what's the point then? Like, why even appear on these podcasts, dude? Like, you're not even putting in effort. And I'm like, yeah, I might finally do that when we get to that album as well. So, okay, I get it now.
We should all be allowed.
I mean, you're all allowed. Then, if you're all gonna RNG that one, then I might be like, "This is Greg's ranking, and we're talking about in Greg's order. This is why this is the best song." So High School isn't that bad, except that Grand Theft Auto line is bad.
Oh.
Speaking of songs that some people here think are bad, next up on the list is the song that Mike and I both put in first place because we understand true artistry. Next up is Electric Touch.
Ugh.
I just looked at the comparative rankings on this one and was like, oh, this one was actually controversial. Everyone has a strong opinion about it except me.
So, Steve, you put this right in the middle. What's your thoughts on this one that's right in the middle?
I just found myself singing, ooh, babe, shock me with your electric crutch. Baby girl, turn me on with your electric touch the entire time. It didn't fit the scansion or the melody or vibe of the song in any way. That's just what I was thinking the entire time until Fall Out Boy dude came in and it was like, then I could only think about auto-tune.
Oh, you mean
really
Fall Out Boy?
Yeah, Fall Out Boy man.
Fall Out Boy.
The artist formerly known as Fall Out Boy. One of the guys from Fall Out Boy, because I think it was probably only the one. But, credit the entire band.
No, it was him. It was Fall Out Boy.
It never occurred to me, but are Fall Out Boy and James Gang Boy related? Or
Oh,
How's
yeah.
that work?
Distant cousins?
James
I'll
Follow
never
came.
tell.
Anyway, yeah, that was it. That I didn't have strong feelings about this song until Fall Out Boy came in, and then I was like, wow, he's got an awful lot of vocal tuning going on. He should have sung better, and that's it.
I'll just jump right in on that because I agree. I did not like the processing on his voice, and not that I'm an expert on all things Fall Out Boy, but like I know other Fall Out Boy songs, and he doesn't sound like that to me on those. So I was like, what did they do to him here? And so I don't know if it was
What did they do to my boy?
Yes, what did they do to my Fall Out Boy? You know, like, yeah, I don't know if it was just like no one beats Taylor Swift in her own game, or what that was all about. But even though it's the best song out of the 6, I do think that brought it down a little bit. I don't know, did not like that choice at all.
So, Victor, Julia, you both put this at the bottom. So to preface this, this is considered to be by a lot of people to be one of the worst things Taylor Swift has ever done. I've seen a lot of ink spilled on like different message boards, Reddit posts, like articles like this is like, top 10 worst Taylor Swift songs. This one ends up there a lot.
See, I didn't feel strongly enough like about this being the best of the bonus songs, but now if you're telling me consistently, now I'm heated. You got me. Because how is this in the bottom 10 song sheets? I don't know, like what's bad enough about it? Like
way worse things than this.
I mean, I don't know. It's just there to be. Okay, I'll let Victor and Julia speak. So I'm not getting it. I don't get why it's that bad.
Just as a cursory look, I don't even know. I mean, there's a chance. It's probably bottom 10 on this album if you put them all together. But like of all Taylor Swift songs, absolutely not.
Yeah, I mean, I think many of her actual worst songs are worse because they're more boring and forgettable than this. I think for art, my greatest sin is for something to be boring and forgettable because it's like you didn't try anything. This one, at the very least, is like, I'm not gonna forget this awful melody that I freaking hate. That's just like great. It just, I would rather have someone like stab my ear with a pickaxe than hear this terrible melody. I really, really like it. Just every time it got to the chorus, I was like so angry every time. Like it just I don't like it. I don't like the melody. I don't like the lyrics. It sounds like Invisible Touch but bad. I'm like, I'm just gonna go listen to Invisible Touch, the Good Touch song.
Or the Bad Touch.
Or the Bad Touch, which is much better. Yeah, I would much rather listen to the Bad Touch. And then, yes, my actual gripe with this song is with the Patrick Stump feature, because I don't get why it's credited to Fall Out Boy. I checked to be like, is anyone else in the band here? Did Pete just show up for, like, anything? Is someone playing a keyboard or something back there? Because, like, there is a whole band. I don't know why a whole band is credited when Hayley Williams gets a solo feature when she's in a band. They didn't say featuring Paramore. Paramore wasn't in the song, but Hayley Williams was. Fall Out Boy was not in this song, but Patrick Stump was.
Okay. I didn't do the research on that. Thank you for...
Fall Out Boy is one of my
I was
favorite
assuming
bands.
it was the whole band and they're playing the instruments, so, okay.
This song would have been better if Fall Out Boy had been there. They are a good band. They have a lot of energy. They have great chemistry. They're one of my favorite bands. And then, because I love this band so much, I can't hear this style of production with Patrick Stump. He has one of the best voices. Like, his voice is beautiful and so powerful, and I actually think maybe there's some truth to this. Like, no one can outshine Taylor at her own game, because that would explain why Hayley's feature was also so weird and lackluster. Because, like, she doesn't get to do anything that, like, she's an incredible vocalist. She's so much better at singing than Taylor Swift is.
And the Colby Calliot feature.
The Colby Calliot, she's just, like, in a closet somewhere. We don't know what happened to her. I don't know. Like, Patrick Stump, there's no that man does not need this level of production. fully hold Jack Antonoff accountable for that. Like, what are you doing? Like, and to be fair, this song was released in what I call the dark ages of Fall Out Boy, so I think like all of their songs were also sounding kind of strange. Highly recommend listening to So Much for Stardust, which has since been released, and it's a return to form for Fall Out Boy more, where it's like, oh my god, you guys still have the juice. I was really like losing hope. But
and you're friends with Jimmy Butler.
You're friends with Jimmy Butler, and that's cool. But like this song just took me right back to when I was like, I thought Fall Out Boy was gone forever, and I don't know, yeah, it really bothers me, because I actually looked up, I was getting so angry about the Fall Out Boy credit, that I was like looking it up to be like, what's going on here? How did this even happen? Taylor Swift specifically claimed that Pete Wentz is one of her favorite songwriters, and she's heavily influenced by Pete Wentz's work. He's not here. What are you, like, how did this happen? Like, let Pete Wentz write the song, first of all, because anyway, okay, I'm gonna keep rambling for a while if I don't stop myself now, but I hate this song. I hate it. It really does make me so angry, and I find it unbearable to listen to. The production and the melody is just really, really ghastly, and I think it sucks.
I do think you raise a really good point there, that like even just like going into things sort of blindly not having strong opinions about Taylor Swift or her music in particular, when you're talking a 24-track special edition album like this, the much more interesting and distinct artistic choice would have been to have Fall Out Boy play the song. Because by having her band play the song and then Stumpy fly in for vocals, it sounds like every other song on the album. Whereas this is a super special deep cut bonus edition track. There's no good reason that it couldn't just be something that sounds completely different and is this totally weird vibe that, some fans are like, oh, this doesn't sound like anything else on the album and I hate it. So what? Their opinion doesn't matter. And some fans are like, oh, this doesn't sound like anything else on the album and I love it. And that's what you want.
Yeah, because, I saw featuring Fall Out Boy and I was genuinely excited. I was like, oh, of all the songs that like came from this, like from literally all of the From the Vault tracks, this one should have been no contest my favorite one. Like I was pumped to hear it. I was like, I'm really open to hearing whatever you guys came up with. And then I was like, oh, by you guys I mean Taylor Swift only. And I'm not open to what she comes up with, clearly. I haven't been for a long time. So yowza.
I do agree with you on that point, Steve, in terms of like this should have been able to sound different, because this is from Taylor's version, which was just released like last year, right? So I'm guessing it was
22, I think.
22, yeah. So I'm guessing it was recorded in the past couple of years, because these aren't like demos that are getting added, Greg, right? They're like freshly recorded.
Yeah, they're freshly recorded. So I wonder if this one, the only excuse I could think of is that maybe it was recorded. Oh, can you hear me?
Sorry, I was saying last July. Mike was right the first time.
Okay, then yeah, the only excuse I could think of is like maybe it might have been recorded during the pandemic and just got released, because that was the case with some of the Taylor's versions. And so they were recorded like a lot of the musicians working from home. And it's possible that the Fall Out Boy guys, aside from the singer, didn't really have like a home recording setup. But by that same token, if it's like 2023, no, you should have just got them in a studio by that point. You don't really have that excuse.
Yeah, I guess my thought was like, whenever these were recorded, even if it was pandemic era, like Taylor's huge. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't, like, it's not like, oh, we can't take that kind of chance right now. We're building your career. Like, no, she could have done whatever. So it would not have been a career killer to have the entire Fallout band play on a track. So you guys have won me over. This is the worst song of the 6 songs. No, I was kidding. But I still like it. But strange choices were made.
So I'll jump in. Actually, Victor needs to go still, but I'll jump in. Look, Nothing Can Keep Me From You only has one member of Kiss on the track, but it's still labeled as Kiss. Despite there being an entire backing band, it's only Paul Stanley doing a song that Paul Stanley didn't even write. So this is as much a Fall Out Boy song as Nothing Can Keep Me From You is a Kiss song.
That happens with, that happens in general with bands where you have, ghost musicians and things like that. Whether or not it should, that's a whole different debate. But, it's one thing to credit the band it's being released under, but it's a totally different thing to be like, oh, it's this artist plus featuring another artist. Why mention the feature then if you're, why feature another artist if you're not featuring that other artist? So I do
look at the
what you're saying,
credit.
but...
I hate to call out friend of the podcast like this, but probably the most egregious instance of this is Sarah and the Safe Words song that features Chumbawamba, and by that I mean one of the core vocalists and songwriters of this massive art collective that existed for 30 years.
I mean, it also depends on who owns the right to the band name. If only one person owns the right to the band name, and it's the singer, and he's allowed to call it Fall Out Boy whenever he does something.
It's true. Although I think Chumbawamba is more complicated because they're a bunch of filthy art collective commies. So who owns anything, right?
Right. Who owns anything? But yeah, I like this song because it's catchy and it rocks. I enjoy the back and forth vocal, and also I love how melodramatic it is over just a first date. And just someone just coming to the house to pick you up and acting like this, it's an overwrought Steinman epic over it's literally just oh man, I had some bad relationships. Hopefully this guy who picks me up isn't a jerk. Oh, he actually showed up. And that's the entire song. And the fact that
great t-shirt.
Yeah. I enjoy that it's melodrama for the mundane. It's not even My Chemical Romance melodrama, just and then she died and I was crying at the funeral and then killed myself. It's no, it's the melodrama, just yeah, we're about to go on a date and it's about 8 o'clock and oh, here he is. To make that into melodrama, I actually really for some reason it works for me, the melodrama of the mundane. And I like the melody. It's catchy. I like the, the groove, the rhythmic changes. I enjoy the piece. Yeah, I like it the best of the songs. Victor, you also put it last place. What do you think of this one?
Well, just to circle back to a couple of other talking points, Julia was saying it's not exactly at the height of Fall Out Boy's powers. I do like the idea that you mentioned that they could only get Patrick Stump because the other guys couldn't afford $300 to get some recording equipment at their house. This song's not very good. But I will say, probably not one of Taylor Swift's 10 worst songs.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people say it's one of the worst things she's ever done, and it's become a punchline among Swifties to say Electra Touch when talking about something bad. So, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I can see not loving it, but I don't understand the visceral hatred of it being this is an abomination, one of the worst things she's ever done. Just I could be yeah, it's mid. I like it, but I could see someone thinking it's mid. But the abomination level that a lot of people treat it as, I don't get that. I get it a little bit more if you're
I'm honestly glad to hear that.
I was thinking it might just be Julia with 100 different internet handles. Oh yeah, the worst thing ever. Celery Girl 33. This song sucks.
It sucks. Boo. I mean, no, it does. It does please me greatly to know that her own fan base rejected this song. It sucks. I hate it. So I'm with the Swifties. Call me a Swiftie when it comes to this song because I effing hate it. Just like all of them.
Just like all of my friends.
Yeah.
All right, well, hey, we're at the number 2 song on the ranking. So this is not carried solely by Mike and myself. Although actually,
6 or 7 songs.
6.
Okay.
And so this is the song I ranked second from the bottom, and it is second from the top. So what do I know? Next up on the list, we have Timeless.
Oh yeah.
Steve, Julia, are you guys? Even though I ranked this one lower, I was so ecstatic for both of you guys when this song came on, because like you guys were like, Taylor Swift isn't experimental enough. She's not avant-garde enough. Like, why doesn't she sing about like robots curing cancer on Neptune? Like, so she's like traveling through time. I'm like, yes, this is for Steve and Julia.
Yeah.
Like, I was so happy for you guys. She sings about like different historical time periods and like, is this what you wanted? You got what you wanted. I was so happy for you guys.
No, because it's still about
Where's the
relationships, and so they're still not happy.
Yeah,
I hadn't really
considered
considered that.
joke because I was like, this won't be the way they want it to be. Yeah.
I hadn't considered that, Mike, but it is a good point. It won't change my ranking of it because I did rank this one at the top of this list for much more convoluted reasons, though. And that, like, I looked at this plot, the plot that she's outlining in this song, and I'm like, this is really just the plot of Ben Folds The Luckiest, but sort of removed from any actual lived experience. It's her making up the story of The Luckiest, whereas Ben Folds was actually singing that song about his third wife, whom he is now was divorced from by the time this song. You know what? I think it is time for a new version of The Luckiest that is not directly connected to a wild ass marriage that probably shouldn't have happened.
So this song. Thank you, Taylor Swift, for writing this.
Thanks, Taylor Swift, for stepping in to fill in a vacuum, and also, now that Mike points out rightly, throwing in some friggin' time travel. That's cool.
I mean, there's not really friggin' time travel. It's more just like she was at a garage sale, found a box of like old black and white pictures, and then made up stories about the people that she saw because she's just storyteller, creative mind, and just like, and if it was us back then, we would have been in love, and nothing could have stopped us because our love is eternal, babe. I'm like, you know what? That is a very Taylor Swift kind of sentiment, but as I vibe with that.
How it went down.
You know what? Historical fiction is almost as good as fantasy, so there's points there. And she casts some shade on feudalism, which I am anti-feudalism, so there's a lot to say for this song.
And it's true. She does come down with a very
Taylor Swift connection that I'm not getting, or did you guys just want to talk about feudalism?
No, she actually is. She is.
Want to talk about feudalism?
She actually is coming down against feudalism in the song. Like that wasn't intentional. I was talking about castles crumbling and feudalism, but she actually is coming down against it in the song. So like, yeah, all right, cool.
Taylor Swift is anti-arranged marriages in a vassal state where you are owned by the land you work rather than any sort of vice versa.
Taylor Swift, a true champagne socialist.
Oh yeah.
Taylor Swift, the one of two feminist billionaires who is at least vaguely feminist.
Only very vaguely.
I mean, I don't know. She's reasonably for someone in her position. She's for a billionaire. Her politics are actually not that bad.
I did not watch multiple hour-long YouTube videos about how Taylor Swift secretly hates all women this week, like I did for J.K. Rowling.
Yeah. I mean, J.K. Rowling doesn't secretly hate women. She's pretty loud about it.
Although she's been a lot quieter on Twitter since the lawsuit.
Yeah.
I mean, she did come back, though. She was like, yeah, what if I put somebody else's words saying that this boxer is a man, in quotes?
She was literally like, what if I double down after a lawsuit? And that's really admirable.
She said she wanted to go to jail for her beliefs. She wants to go to jail for her beliefs.
I mean, I feel like
that's her right.
So
as a woman,
I don't agree with transphobia, but I think that if you're going to be transphobic, you should do it against people who are actually trans. You still shouldn't do it. It's still bad. But I feel like that should be like the bare minimum. If you're going to be bigoted, you should be bigoted against the people you're actually bigoted against. And that's where it gets like extra levels of embarrassing. Like, you're not even being bigoted right. Come on. Like, if you want to get mad at me for, like, you know, the one drop that you're like, he's got one drop of Judaism in him, that's enough. Like, fine. You're doing anti-Semitism right.
Greg, have you ever seen a bigot who wasn't also a really crappy amateur phrenologist a little bit on the side?
Yeah.
That's true.
Basically all of them.
Yeah, but just the cringe behind him, just like, it's not even a trans person. Come on. Like,
Well, I mean, that's what we've been trying to say is the problem with trans-exclusive feminism is, like, then you have to really look at what a woman is, and it's gonna turn into the same thing, which is, like, the white nationalist description of what a woman is. A woman is someone who looks feminine. Like, that's not good. There are a lot of, like, cis women who are not feminine. And if we're gonna go that way, it's like, oh, this is just bioessentialism. That's so neat. I don't think Taylor Swift feels that way about women, thankfully. So you're right, Greg. For a billionaire, her politics could certainly be a lot worse. They could be better, but they could be a lot worse.
Taylor Swift is probably, as herself the subject of various random transvestigations, she is probably pretty against that whole idea.
I think so,
Like,
too.
Please don't closely examine my collarbones and photos so that you can make up stories about surgeries I've had. That's gross.
But what if the photo was 25 cents at a pawn shop? Or whatever?
so wrapping
Then please
around.
make up cool stories about me.
What if the song was about going through a box of photos at an antique shop and trying to ascertain if anyone in the photo is trans?
Just
Like-
investigating.
Her boobs are too perky. I think they're fake, and her jaw is kind of more pronounced than. I'm kind of sus.
But if it was you and me back then, it would have been fine.
I'm gonna message you two after this chat. We're gonna work on this as a James Game Boy or a baseball Methodist Reg Darn the Fighters collaboration about.
Yes.
Finally, this is what the world has been waiting for. All I was gonna say about this song was when she started talking about the 1500s, I was laughing.
I was
very
fist
much.
bumping.
Yeah, we were like, then finally, yeah.
We were like, keep going, keep going, keep going backwards.
Back into like Bible times. What would you be doing then?
Yeah.
Like, I'm
Leavening bread.
I'm dying of a completely normal disease.
You and I eating manna.
We just lost our third child out of our 18 children.
You know, I think they're all valid points. Again, I appreciate the sentimentality of the piece. I think it's cute. And also,
Yeah, I do too. I think
for the record,
I
YouTube
also-
robots, I'm against transphobia and bigotry. It's bad. I felt that was obvious, but, you know, for the robots, when, you know, got to make sure the robots know our true opinions.
We are
all
all
the
staunch
transphobes out there.
transhuman.
Fix your hearts or die.
That's Doctor Who, right?
God, no.
Or the guy
I've
who played
never seen Doctor Who.
That quote.
It's Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks.
Oh right. Oh right. Yeah,
Yeah.
that guy.
David Lynch got there with the best quote.
So, Timeless, do we have any other thoughts about the song before we move on to the number one song in the ranking? I think we just got into a discussion about trans people, which never happens on podcasts.
Hey, ours is different than the usual fare. I feel like when trans people get brought up in podcasts specifically. So, yeah.
I mean, ours was like, hey, we don't encourage bigotry against trans people, as opposed to other times when trans people get brought up on podcasts.
Exactly.
So there we go.
That is the key distinction. Yes, Greg.
So we are a true progressive rock podcast. So let's. So the ranking from the bottom to the top. Foolish One, When Emma Falls in Love, Castles Crumbling, Electric Touch, Timeless, but the best song on Speak Now, at least the best vault track, almost unanimously winning first place, except for Mike and myself putting in second, I Can See You, wins the ranking. Because as good as this song is, to Mike and myself, it's just not Electric Touch good.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone else ranked this first. This was the song that got a music video from the Vault tracks. This was the song that most fans agreed was the best. Critics agreed it was the best. It got played live. Like, this has sort of become as much of a staple as a song can be in this era where she's promoting like 4 albums at once. It does get decent rotation into the set list. Basically, everybody generally agrees, yeah, this one is pretty good.
Well,
I think you
everybody was
misstated Matt
right for once.
Only Julia and Victor ranked this one number one. The rest of us called it number 2.
All right, so Victor and Julia, the true Swifties of the group, understood that this is the best song. There was one podcaster I heard talk about the song, and they liked how clearly this was Taylor Swift. Like, she wrote the song when she was trying to be sexier, but still wasn't really comfortable in her sexuality. So it was like someone really chaste trying to write a sexual song, what they thought a sexual song should sound like. And I do kind of hear that. It's sort of like the inverse of Talk to Me by Kiss. We're like, this is a really sexual person writing a really chaste song. This is a really chaste person writing a really sexual song. And but I mean, I think musically it's a lot of fun, good melody. Kind of has almost like a spy vibe to the music, which is I think why they went with like the heist thing in the music video. So it doesn't like go with the lyrics at all, but like that atmosphere is very much in the piece. So yeah, it's a cool, catchy song. I can see why this one was the most beloved by most fans of the Vault tracks on this album. Steve, you had a joke about this one.
It's true, I did. I compared this. The production of this sounds a lot like what the songs Our Lady Peace was recording during this period sounded like. And that is damning it with the faintest of praise, because Our Lady Peace is one of my favorite bands ever. But when they do songs that sound like this production, like Stop Making Stupid People Famous, featuring a single member of Pussy Riot credited as the entirety of Pussy Riot, it's a little bit soulless and not fun, and doesn't have the energy of their early classic albums, or like the experimental creativity of their sort of artistic peak albums. So yeah, this sort of has very similar vibes to that, in a way that in Taylor Swift you're like, she's trying, and I like that, but it just reminds me of music that I would like to like better. It was much a punchier joke when I delivered it in a single sentence via email to Greg.
It's true, it was punchier. But yeah, I think I might have accidentally spoken for everyone on the panel with my thoughts on the song, unless anyone has anything to add.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have anything to add. I'll just say I think I really like how you described it as having a spy vibe, because I was already thinking like, oh yeah, it kind of has a sexy vibe, and I'm like, really, Mike, you can't think of a more interesting description than sexy vibe. So when you said spy vibe, I'm like, there we go, spy vibe,
which is still sexy.
And well, you did, yeah. But then when you got to spy, I'm like, okay, now he's enriching it. He's adding some flavor to that. Okay, it's got a sexy spy vibe, which it does. And Steve, I'm glad you just mentioned that Our Lady Peace is one of your very favorite bands, because I kind of was assuming it, because when you brought them up again just now, I'm like, weren't we talking about them last time? And like, I mean, this is no disrespect to the band. You're the only person I've heard mention them in like 30 years. And partly is that I just listen to a different style of music. But yeah, you were really repping the Our Lady Peace.
I'm Canadian. It's a little bit like a little bit of a requirement of 90s kids from Canada are like, oh, well, yeah, of course I love Our Lady Peace. I was listening to whatever was on grunge radio, and they were tangential to that.
Here, Mike, I'll also talk about a band you'll never hear anyone talk about for 30 years. Steelheart. Remember how they existed?
Oh, yeah, Steelheart. Which Taylor Swift song is most reminiscent of Steelheart?
Yes, which one is the closest to a Steelheart vocal of any Taylor Swift song? I'll definitely have to... Taylor Swift's cover of "I'll Never Let You Go," truly peak Taylor Swift vocal.
I do feel like Taylor Swift could have a song called "Angel Eyes" or something like that. Like, I'm trying to hear her doing "I'll Never Let You Go" now. Like,
that is.
I'm here. I can hear the beginning stuff,
the chorus.
And then with the falsetto, like. Maybe she can get him and credit it as Steelheart, even though it's just the lead singer, and then they can put like terrible effects and processing on his voice and be like, look what Taylor Swift did. That can be one of the vault tracks in 10 years on your what is it, Tortured Poets Society? I keep calling it the wrong thing. Tortured Poets Department, right? I keep calling it Tortured Poets Society. Give me a vault track. I'll never let you go. Yeah, that'll be a thing.
Put the robot on mic.
Mike the robot on mic.
Yeah, Mike, you were glitching out there, so unfortunately you are now the robot.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know if you were just sick of me talking, so you roboted me. Okay, I glitched out. Fair enough.
I think I got most of it, though.
It wasn't great.
The distilled thoughts I have on this are basically, when it comes to listening to a Taylor Swift collection of any kind, do I want to hear Taylor Swift singing a Taylor Swift song, or would I like to hear her try a genre that I like? And the answer is probably the one that I like already. So I was glad that she did that. A little alt-rocky, it gets kind of Taylor Swifty in the chorus, but it's kind of a fun rhythm in the verses. It's interesting. This would easily make my cut of the album.
Yeah, I was like, this was the one I would put on the album proper. Yeah, yes.
Everyone gets a turn.
This is the one I would put on the album. I think it is interesting. That's I think this was one where when it came on when we were first listening to it, Victor and I were like, oh, hey, this is kind of what we were talking about, where it's like, I'd like to hear something else, please, than just the same thing over and over. So it happened. The results were fine.
The results were fine. I think that's what we can say with these vault tracks. The results were fine. Your mileage may vary. No one really hated anything other than Electric Touch, which was loved by some, hated by more. But yeah, so general thoughts as we walk away from these vault tracks. I was happy with them. I think this might be my favorite collection of vault tracks.
You're the robot. Now, you're the robot.
I'm the robot. I enjoyed the collection of vault tracks. They were the most pleasing to me. I felt the most enjoyment here. That robot thing ended up coming in handy.
This is a good bit. I love it.
What will the bit on the next episode be? Just stay tuned and find out.
Don't touch that YouTube link.
Or no, you'll have to touch it to get to a different link for that live stream.
Dang. This collection of vault tracks, not bad. I would say, honestly, most of them would probably, if I was in charge of recutting the album for whatever reason, which I always put myself in charge of this whenever we do an episode, most of these honestly would probably make it, except for maybe Electric Touch and
Emma Falls in Love.
I mean, even that might make the cut. The album is like, the highs are high, but man, there's a lot of not great stuff on there. But yeah, overall, pretty good for vault tracks, frankly.
I think for me, it might just be other stuff I have going on at the moment or something. But this felt like the least excited I was, or interested, or whatever you want to call it, about a batch of Taylor Swift songs, whether it was a whole new album or the vault tracks or whatever. Just I kind of listened to them, was like, cool, like they're okay. It sounds like Taylor Swift. It's not bad. But I feel like usually with the other albums we've done and sets of songs we've done, usually I'm like, oh, this is okay. This is cool. I didn't know she had a song like this. Okay, I would listen to this again. Okay, cool.
There's nothing that jazzed you with this bunch. It was always like, yeah, this is fine, but nothing just like no spark like this is making the playlist or I will be happy to hear this if I'm out. You're just like, yeah, this is all fine.
Yeah, much unlike the main album, I did not feel sparks fly.
Ah.
Oh, wow. Good segue. Yeah, I agree. I feel like even though I do definitely hate Electric Touch, but the other tracks here are like, oh, kitty. The other tracks are very mid to me. And like I find them very hard to like care about. And so I feel like I still just think of these vault tracks as a failed experiment. Like they just, I don't know, like great, you've made 6 or 7 more songs that are fine to bad. Even though there's a song on here that I think would have been better suited to the album. I don't care. Whatever. The album came out a billion years ago. I don't care. It is what it is. It's too late now for me to retroactively throw a song on. That was your call to make a billion years ago. And it's only mid anyway, so what difference does it make to have one mid to bad song on the album now or versus the mid to bad songs that were already there?
I will only slightly disagree in the sense of I Can See You. She was probably able to pull that off better now than she would have been back then.
I would imagine if she'd had Fall Out Boy on it.
That's true.
I don't want to talk about Fall Out Boy.
I like the vault tracks because it's a way of both given the excitement of a new release to a degree, giving fans like the diehards, it's like here's, an EP worth of tracks to listen to. And I think that, like I said, for this batch of vault songs, this is my favorite vault that we've done thus far. Which is, I think, we've done a grand total of 2. So, but still, I liked it better than the Fearless vault tracks by a pretty significant margin. So, I don't know, this really worked for me. I really like this batch of songs. And as like a tight little EP.
God, I just looked at the Fearless ones. These are way better than those.
The Fearless ones are really bad.
So see, by comparison. But hey, next week, or not next week, next month, we're getting into Red, the big transition album, as Taylor started to deviate more into the realm of pop and lost Julia. But there are some exciting things on that album because Julia said in listening to it, she found some songs that she didn't hate. And there's also even a song that has like just 2 chords over and over again. I know Victor's going to be like, oh, hell yeah, just 2 chords? Hell yeah.
His number 1 track. I'm calling it now. That is going to be his number 1.
Oh yeah, no, it's going to be his number 1. And I'll probably like rank it in the middle. Like, yeah, it's fine, but it's only 2 chords. Like, yeah, that's why it's great,
it's
Greg.
Brilliant.
Don't you get it? But yeah, that is the episode. It is time for plugs. Steve, what are you plugging this week?
The New Zealand Ardor album, Greif, is pretty good. And also, you should subscribe to the Regdar and the Fighters Patreon to get less of my hot takes and more of my weird music that sounds little to nothing like Taylor Swift.
Mike, what is an album?
Patreon.com/BombHatSteve.
All right, give Steve that money, but give me money first. He has way more than I do.
This is true. Greg is broke. I'm not.
Mike, what's an album you want the kids at home to listen to?
Were you talking to me? You cut out at the beginning, but I think you started to address me before. Were you asking what an album I should recommend for the kids at home?
Yes.
I do have an album to recommend. I just saw the Struts a couple weeks ago. It was my second time seeing them, but really, it made me go back and listen to some of their albums, and I feel like I slept on their newest album, Pretty Vicious, which I want to say came out last year. I liked it at the time, but upon re-listening, I like it even more. So go check out the band The Struts and give their newest album, Pretty Vicious, a good listen or three.
And Victor, Julia, what do you want to self-promote?
I mean, that's easy. We have an album too, 20 Pills Without Water by Bent Knee, which came out yesterday. And it's very good. It turns out they're a good band and they make really good music, so you should definitely give that a listen.
Rest in peace, Gavin.
And then for me, yeah, rest in peace, Gavin. We love you. And then for me personally, Lady Celery on Instagram. I'm broke. Look at my pictures.
And look at Mike's dog.
Yeah.
Oh, doggo.
Yeah, check this out.
Also, watch this space for Baseball Methodist. We got the band room set up last week. We're gonna get back at it. Hopefully soon.
The one cable hanging into the camera frame, which with the blur effect kind of gives like a weird halo around Victor whenever Julia leans to the side.
Yeah. Yeah. This isn't the band space, thankfully. Although it would probably be less hot.
True.
All right, well, that is the episode.
Yeah,
Baseball Methodist. Give them money, but give me money first. I'm more broke. I don't know. Actually, we're probably equally broke. Give everybody money except for Steve. Even give Mike money.
Hierarchy of brokenness. I think you can still win, especially because you're hosting the show.
Yeah, it's only fair.
All right, well, that